Welcome to Chess Openings Explained. I'm National Master Mike Mestres. In this detailed series of videos, we're going to be learning how to play it against the native variation of the Sicilian, one of the strongest, most popular, and aggressive Sicilian variations, championed by many great players like Kasparov and Fischer. The variation that I'm going to choose to discuss as a weapon against the native variation is the Fischer-Sossin attack, and is characterized by bishop to c4. After e6, which is the main line, bishop b3, which is convenient to retreat the bishop, so pawn to d5 does not gain a tempo on the bishop, black has four major continuations. The aggressive b5, bishop e7 for an early castle and getting ready to transpose to other variations as well. Knight b d7, championed by Kasparov, and the bit rare knight c6, but also played in a very logical move. So this could transpose to a Bilimirovic attack or other Sicilian lines. We're going to be sort of looking at all these variations individually in detail with some games as reference, so we can better understand what's going on. But in this introductory video, I want to go ahead and give you a little taste of what this Fischer-Sossin attack can do. For example, if black plays b5 with no prior knowledge of this opening, b5 is a very logical move in the Sicilian. Black can fianchetto the bishop and also intends to expand on the queen side and possibly play b4 to attack the knight on c3. For example, white can castle, and after b4, knight to a4, black might go pawn grabbing with knight takes e4. Well, after rook to e1, the proper way to defend is d5. But again, if our opponent is not knowledgeable about this opening, knight to f6 would be actually quite catastrophic, because after bishop to g5, black would be in a lot of trouble. And you're probably wondering, well, how is that so? Black can play bishop e7 and castle on the next move, and simply would be ahead one pawn. Well, because of the speed of development that white has, I mean, it has four minor pieces, and a rook in the game already, we have a very nice tactical possibility in this position, and it's knight to f5. A very sort of typical normal theme in the Sicilian, and it's no different in the Fischer-Sossin attack. After knight to f5, we're attacking the g7 pawn and the e7 bishop. So let's look at pawn takes knight. After pawn takes knight, we capture on f6. Now the rook is doing a fantastic job pinning the bishop, so g takes f6 is necessary, and now queen to d5. Queen to d5 forks the rook, and he attacks the f7 pawn. If black decides, for example, to try to save the rook, after queen f7, black is going to be faced with a very strong attack, and I don't think it will survive. Knight b6 check is trying to distract the queen from the protection of the e7 bishop. So if king c6, then now knight to d5, creating a third attacker on the bishop. And for example, if black decides to play rook d8, then now we have bishop a4, x-raying the king and the rook. So I'll let the students sort of play with this position a little bit. You see how exciting and fun this position can be for the opponent that is not knowledgeable about this position. But the Fischer-Sossin attack, you can have very sharp positions like this. Let's take a look at if black doesn't capture the knight and just simply castles. Well, now we can capture the bishop, and after queen takes knight, then now we can play knight b6, which simply attacks the rook that is totally undefended. And after rook a7, we have another super cool move, knight to d5. This forks the queen and the knight, and of course, if pawn takes knight, then simply rook takes e7. We'll capture the queen. And if queen d8, then now since we have two attackers on f6, we're going to capture and destroy the protective layer that the black king had in front of him, and now play another super cool move, queen to d4, forking the rook and creating an attack on f6.
Again, if a black decides to save the rook, for example, knight to f6 check will become a decisive attack. This is a double check that would corner the black king and checkmate him. I just wanted to, in this introductory video, leave a taste of what the Fischer-Sossin attack can do. It's very sharp, but at the same time I think it's very safe for white. Well, stay tuned for more videos and look for the detailed analysis on the Fischer-Sossin versus the Najdorf.